some hotels, all they're worried about is heads and beds. And then there's other hotels that have a more local mindset.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is the Joe and Todd Show.
Here we go, episode 9.
I'm Todd.
Who'd have thought we'd make it to 9 episodes?
I'm Joe. This is Todd.
And this is Todd.
Yes. We're so glad you guys are here today. It's kind of one of those fun topics that I don't know how we made it to episode 9 without having this topic yet. Because it's kind of like one of those things.
Have
it's one
we
of the
even
first
talked
things.
about it?
I don't know that we have. It's obvious, though.
I mean, it's innate to an event.
It's the first thing,
yeah.
yeah.
So what is it?
It's types of venues. 12 favorite types of venues.
There's actually more. We have
16?
16 or something.
Whatever.
We have a lot. There's so many kinds of venues. There's so many places you can have an event.
I think one of the things that Todd and I are trying to do is really peel back the onion, try to figure out what all is in event planning. And so thinking especially people who are just starting and you decide, hey, I want to do this thing called event planning. What's this look like? What's it mean? That's part of what we're doing here. And we're also trying to add value to people who have maybe been doing it as long as we have, as long as I have. And what's some new thoughts and ideas? And so I think one of those definitely is, what is a venue and what's it look like and where do you even start? It obviously seems like square 1 or 2 or 3 when you're planning an event. So for us, if a client comes to us and says, hey, I want to do this. I want to have a concert for 75 people and show off orchestra, or I want to, have a wedding, or I want to have a board retreat, or I want to do a corporate rollout of a new product. And I think, it almost becomes square one of where do we go? Where do we have that? And of course, a venue is defined as a place where things happen. So in our world, in our event world, we tend to think about any place can be a venue. We probably get stuck sometimes thinking it has to be a convention center or a hotel or someplace like that, a resort, some kind of a place that has events every day of the year. And that's not always true. Obviously, we're going to talk about why those are always of great value and why we do gravitate towards them. But I think sometimes we have to really go back to square one of what's the best place for this event? Where do we really want to have that? And what's it going to tell us? So especially when we start talking about company mergers or a new product rollout or making a big announcement. I was talking a while ago about made a big announcement. We wanted some school buses around. And so we did that inside a expo square center, exposition center place and fairgrounds, whatever you want to call it. And so I think there is that element of you are about to do something big. You want to communicate something, then obviously your environment, your venue is part of telling that story and how you do it. I've been listening
so where do you start? Where do you start looking for a venue?
Yeah. So I think number one has got to be what first comes to your mind. If a client says, hey, I want to make this announcement, I'm going to run for president and I want to announce to the world, what's the first places you think about that candidate making that announcement? Is it a school
Capitol
auditorium?
building.
Is it the Capitol? Is it exactly what's that look like? And how do you go about that? Or if you're going to do a product rollout, you have someone who's just designed this major new piece of equipment, where do you roll that out at? Where's logical and makes sense?
Factory, the office.
Exactly. Rodeo arena. That's my favorite product rollouts. I think that's the beginning. We love Cvent, and if you are not familiar with Cvent as an event planner, you're missing out. Get onto them. We're going to have a place
wealth of knowledge.
Show notes to connect with Cvent, and might even have some people to connect with. That's something we should do, is give some ideas for people. But Cvent's a wealth of knowledge. They have a great venue site where you can basically type in any city in the United States and the world, around the world, and it has lists and lists of venues. And the thing I love about them is that they're kind of equal. Some are paid, some are not, and and it's the information for everybody there. It's not just kind of who has the most money wins. So I think that's really great.
Seems like they are pretty heavy on hotels with what I've seen.
I think, again, that's the logical place to go. Also, smart meetings. You know, our friends at Smart Meetings, we talk about them a lot, but they're just such a tremendous resource. And again, they have paid partners that they want to promote and encourage, but they also have great ideas. And I think even even sometimes if you have a sleeping rooms attached and you're still wanting to do something different, hotels are a lot of times great with giving those ideas and thoughts of what's local, what can you do.
Yeah.
So,
We'll talk about some venues, some unusual venues here in a minute, but one of my favorite unusual venues was when we went to special events in San Diego, and they had one of their opening night events on a aircraft carrier.
yes,
And that was
incredible.
That was really cool. Such a vast array of spaces on the ship. There's kind of the hull and the entrance to the ship, and the up on deck, and all sorts of spaces within the ship where you could have different types of parties and things going on.
But one of the cool things about that to me was it told the story of San Diego. It really, that would not make sense
That's a good point.
in Phoenix.
Well, might be a little impractical.
But I think, to really think back to San Diego being in World War II or whatever, just phenomenal history, and again telling that story. So again, it was so relevant, made a lot of sense.
Yeah, they had people dressed up in sailors' outfits and all kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you really decide what kind of where do you start? I mean, for me, I like to write down lists of venue ideas and just kind of start with maybe there's a date you have in mind and you start checking those venues out.
We keep a whole venue list, especially here in Tulsa where we're doing stuff all the time. We keep a list of venues and kind of the different aspects of them, like their capacity and what kind of venue they are, whether they're a hotel or a casino or all that kind of thing. And that's an easy way to kind of go down the list and say, okay, well, if we have 250 people, then it knocks these people off the list. And but again, you got to be creative too. You want to keep your mind open, not just stick to a list, because there's always
and I think starting definitely with the capacity, and really like we kind of said, it's starting a little bit with what's your purpose and how can you be creative, how can you tell that story of the event. Obviously costs play into it. I think sometimes though we don't understand how to weigh costs, and I think you have to really look at that with eyes wide open.
Huge.
We think an example, years ago, I had a client come to me and say, we really kind of wanted to have our event at the convention center, but it's way too expensive. It's going to be $25,000 to have their event there. And so instead we have this barn that one of our board members owns, and they are going to donate it. It's going to be free. We can do whatever we want. We can have it for weeks
no
to move
such
in.
thing as free.
Exactly.
No such thing as free.
I think they ended up spending about $10,000 more than they would have at the convention center.
Yeah.
And additionally had some cars stuck in the mud because there's no parking. It was awful. So yeah, I think, again, a client a lot of times has great ideas and they think something's going to be really fun, and
they couldn't afford you either for that.
They couldn't afford me either. That's exactly right.
So you're just like hands
I'm
off,
glad I just watched from a
idea.
distance. But I think clients a lot of times have some ideas, and sometimes it's listening to that and thinking, what are they really wanting to accomplish with this? Why was that their idea? Why were they thinking an empty warehouse would be cool? Is there someplace we can create that same ambiance? Is there a reason they chose that? Or if there is something they're suggesting, there may be a way to make it more feasible. If it is an empty warehouse, there may be a way to say, hey, you realize this is going to cost you $50,000 to bring in electricity and water and even renting the space out for a long time or whatever. Yeah. And they may say, yeah, it's completely worth it because that's what we want to communicate. So
let's talk about some of the different kinds of venues.
Absolutely.
Like the main kinds of venues.
Well, I immediately go to the places I've worked in my life. I worked at a convention center, and so I have a huge passion for convention centers. I just think they're great because they're such flexible space, top quality, just Yeah, I love
They're doing
convention
events
centers.
all day, every day.
That's what they
That's
do.
what they do
That's
all day
what
long.
they do
Yeah.
is do events. And so
It's
yeah,
more expensive,
definitely go there.
but
You get what you pay for.
you get what you pay for. Exactly.
That's exactly
Right.
I also think of places I worked. I worked at a college, and I loved the college venues
Did
on
you
our
have a lot
campus.
of outside events?
We
at the
did.
college?
We did because we were one of the larger venues in our community.
Oh, that
and
makes
so
sense.
we did
Mhm.
Chamber of Commerce breakfasts
Mhm.
and we had a lot of weddings on campus, and we had some conferences. We did job fairs and stuff like that. We had a lot of that going on our campus because of the size of the community. So
Yeah.
so definitely convention centers, educational spaces, hotels. Obviously, I think hotels is just where our mind goes a lot. And I want to remind us.
And there's different kinds of hotels too.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you always say some hotels, all they're worried about is heads and beds, and then there's other hotels that have a more local mindset, and they care about the community and developing the community and working with nonprofits, and so that there's two different mindsets. And depending on what your event is, if you're working on a out of town conference where have a lot of people come in from out of town, maybe the heads and beds type hotel is the place to go, right?
Absolutely. And there's, again, it's the numbers that you're looking for and how they fit in. Sometimes luxury hotels do not tell the story that you want to tell. We have an educational client we're working with on trying to find a venue, and we're really steering away from the luxury brands because that's not them. That's not their story. So, yeah, definitely that. Casinos are hugely popular in our area, at least our state and our region. Our casinos are very, very popular. They're very inexpensive. The casinos want people there, so they do very discounted rates and all that sort of
deals.
thing. Very good deals. And so again, I think it's figuring out who your story is,
because they're trying to market to people.
Again, we've had casinos be our clients. We love them. They're really fun people, but I think you have to go in with your eyes wide open. Sometimes our clients end up being their competitor without thinking about it, because the casino is really wanting that person to come in and spend money there. So.
Especially if you're doing a fundraiser event.
Restaurants, I think, are the other place that we naturally gravitate to, because I think they're in that space of there's tables there. They're used to serving guests. It's amazing to me. There are restaurants who are very open to buyouts. We've had some really successful events where we bought out a restaurant and just said, "Hey, we're gonna take this over tonight." And especially there's a local restaurant that we've used a lot. Did a bar mitzvah there, and a couple of parties and other stuff, because they're mainly breakfast and lunch. They do very little evening traffic. And so they love to close down, and they have amazing space. They have patio space, and it's phenomenal. So again, if you can match their evening, or a little bit more than their evening tickets would be, then that's a great option. If that's something
a lot of restaurants, especially downtown, have rooftop spaces and interesting areas you can go and have small. They tend to be smaller events though at a restaurant.
Oh, absolutely,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I think if you can think
you can't
through,
put 1,000-person gala in a restaurant, obviously,
unless it's a big restaurant. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think again, there's some restaurants that can also maintain business while still having your event there. They have a back room or additional space. Some restaurants, maybe they own property next door that they're willing to move into. So definitely restaurants. I think the places, the next 10 places are places we don't normally think about. And I love, this is one of the fun things about this list that we kind of created earlier. So obviously warehouses, we just talked about that. Warehouses. Yeah. I'm always thinking, I've yet to do the event I want to do in a warehouse, but I'm always thinking it's going to be there. And my thought's always like, is there a way to partner with a realtor who, is willing to say, hey, 3 months from now, we want to do an event. And this is a way to bring business owners or people into your space. And so if you'll work with us to lease the space to us, and we'll do something amazing in here, or empty office building or whatever that looks like. And so, again, I think it's a blank slate. There's so much you can do. again, also a lot of liability from either insurance, the move in, to getting water back and running. I mean, electricity, whatever those things are, making sure it's going to meet a fire marshal and it's going to meet city codes and all that sort of thing, whatever you need to do. But, I think a warehouse is great. So,
yeah. So you're on the wrong list. We're talking about normal place to have events.
I am?
Yeah, a little further down is the unusual venues.
That's right there. I'm going on warehouse car
unusual.
dealerships.
Yeah, unusual.
I'm on the right list. You're looking somewhere else.
Unusual venues.
That's because you go, normal
theaters,
place.
concert halls. Yeah, no, these are normal places.
I know. That's what I'm talking
normal
about.
Places.
I know. That's what I said. Did I call it normal
You
places? It's
unusual.
unusual places.
You
Anyway,
said unusual
car
places.
dealerships.
Is that
another
usual
one.
or unusual?
It's sure. I've been there all the time. Doesn't matter anymore. Again, I think a lot of, especially luxury car dealerships, will have a space that's amazing for parties or events. Sometimes
when I first heard about car dealerships doing that, just didn't make any sense to me at all. Like why you would have it at a car dealership. But I guess when you start thinking about it, you can easily drive the cars out, and you've got this nice big open space.
Absolutely,
right?
they have so much space, and they really want people to come there. They want people to
because it's good
be
advertising
there.
for
So
them.
especially if you have a high demographic and you're bringing people to Lexus or Mercedes or Cadillac or something, that get those people in here, and we'll do whatever we need to do.
And you've got the infrastructure. You've got all the power and the
lighting,
restrooms,
typically,
and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times carpet, whatever. And so, I think car dealerships are great. And we found in bigger cities, bigger markets, especially in fact, our community has a couple of places where they actually have spaces that they have designed to be almost a community space. Again, creating that almost club environment for people to come in and use. They're great to work with because again, they see the value for them. So, the other one I mentioned was home builders associations. I've seen several communities
I haven't had a chance to do that with
have great
a home builders association event with you.
Yeah. So we've done a couple of events at home builders. And again, they're well built, and I don't know if it's because they typically have space for their own meetings, but they love to have people in and work with that. So again, that's an option in lots of places. This is my favorite one.
Which one?
The next one.
Homes.
Yeah.
Really? That's your favorite?
That's my favorite. I love having home events in homes. Okay. I think even
depends
again
on the home, I guess.
Even thinking through if you can do a board retreat at a board member's home or at the CEO's home, there's a lot of pressure that goes into that. But I think it also helps to tell the story really well. I think there's a lot that goes into it. We did a giver event in Iowa one time. That's again, when I think back on favorite events, it's kind of a little strange little office building. It's been built on several times, and they wanted to really bring people in, show them a new space that they had built onto. Well, the logical thing to do was kind of move through the building, starting with the old part and kind of move to the new part. And so we filled it full of roses, and we made roses, flower arrangements everywhere, on top of every file cabinet, bookshelves, all over the place, and just create this amazing event. And the reason I even brought it up today is because someone was talking about it the other day. That was just one of their most favorite things they've ever done.
Home?
No, it was actually an office building.
Oh, we were talking
I
about
jumped.
homes.
I know. Homes, I think, are a lot of fun. I know. Homes are a lot of fun. Again, thinking backyards, living rooms. Again,
we have done some amazing events in homes.
You can move furniture around. You can be creative in a home space,
especially if they're built for events.
Homes are a lot of times a draw too. People want to go to people's homes.
To go to that person's home.
They want to see what it looks like, especially influential homes.
And we've done some like the designer showcase in homes, and those are always interesting.
Backyards, basically the same thing. Backyards are, you can do a tent in a backyard. You can be creative. You can use garages. We've had events in garages. We've built backdrops to cover up garages.
Drawback to homes is you've got to be concerned with the neighbors.
Sometimes
you got to pay them off.
We've given gifts to neighbors. I think that's a good thing.
It's just the
It's
kind
another-
thing to do. It's just being considerate.
Yeah.
It's not like you're bribing, but
It is.
I mean,
It's bribing neighbors to
it's saying
enjoy
we're
a party.
sorry for being so loud. You know,
Yeah, I think
please
too,
don't call the police.
as an
on
event
us.
planner, you've also got to really think through that homeowner and what's their personality, where are they connected. You know, I think of an educational institution we did a party for at a home last fall, and the homeowner was so great. It's like, yeah, just call my office when you're near and we'll buzz you in, you know, and I know there
Extremely
were cameras
gracious.
on every move, but still it was like, yeah, extremely gracious, just wonderful people. And, you know, there's been other homes where we've gone like, can I move the napkin holder off of the bar? And like, no, we don't do that. So yeah, definitely think through those.
You know, one thing we didn't list on here is country clubs.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah. That should be like number 3 or something.
Yeah, they're up in the top.
They're amazing.
Top 5.
We love country clubs. So we also listed churches and schools, street parties,
Street parties. Yeah.
outdoors, open fields, zoos, that sort of thing. And now we get to the unusual
Okay,
venues.
now you can talk about unusual venues. I already gave away the first one, the ship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're the one that was on the wrong list. It wasn't me.
That was right at the beginning.
I said tents. You can put a tent anywhere. You can put a tent inside a building. You can put a tent on the outside of a building. You can put a tent in parking lots. You can put a tent in fields. You can put a tent anywhere.
In a parking garage.
Any parking garage.
We did that recently.
Yes, you can put a tent
Turned
anywhere.
out okay.
Yeah,
I was a little worried about it at first when I
it
heard
sounds
we were going to do
it
it.
sounds goofy. You
Sounds
don't say it out
funny.
loud.
You don't call it a parking garage.
We don't call
Parking
it a tent
structure.
inside a parking structure. Yeah,
Oh,
theaters.
you put a tent up in. You told me just the other day, in the expo center.
Yes.
That was kind of a fiasco, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Air
Tents-
movement
Yeah,
became a
something you didn't
problem.
really think about was air movement.
Yeah, tents in front and side buildings are a little bit complicated, and even thinking fire control, sprinkler systems, that sort of thing. Got to
And
think
you got
about
to
that.
use the water barrels to hold it down, and
Yeah, think through that. Theaters, concert halls.
Yeah.
all those sorts of.
you had an event up on the stage of a
Mhm.
theater one
It's
time.
one of my favorite
That
places.
sounds like a really cool event. I'd
Love
like
that.
to
I'm going to do that again.
sometime.
Let's do that again.
Yeah.
Concert halls, of course. We in Tulsa, there's a place called Kane's Ballroom,
Mhm.
which is historic from Bob Will's days, in the
One of our
1920s and
favorite
30s.
venues in town.
It's incredible. Just
They're
an amazing
great to
family.
work with.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing family that owns it,
Great people.
and they just love to have people there that are not concert goers. I think probably not true. They love concert goers.
They're
No,
pretty
they're-
pretty hardcore concert.
They're pretty amazing, and it's so much fun to have events there, and it just is such a historical place. We've done the same thing in Dallas. There's incredible concert venues that you can easily turn into a opening night reception or have something there. Then the next one
What
is
about
also
museums?
one of my
We
favorite
didn't talk about
museums.
museums.
Museums should be on our
We should
normal
put
list,
that on there.
our regular venues, because
Yeah.
museums are incredible.
They often have venue spaces, and like the AHA here in town, and the Dallas Museum of Art in Dallas.
Yeah, and they're also really easy to work with because they're guest centered. You have to really be considerate of them. Sometimes you have to work around the closing hours. I know we've
Or
had
the art installations.
yes, yeah. You might ask questions about what kind of art's going to be on the wall.
Or if you can cover it up.
Usually you can't. Usually you can't cover up art, but museums are amazing venues, especially again for an opening reception or for a light dinner. Again, thinking through the things you can't control there. A lot of times they don't really like food or red wine or things like that, and you have to think through that, work with them. One of my favorites on this entire list is rodeo arenas. Of course, I grew up around rodeo arenas, and so that's a really comfortable space for me. But
There's got to be a good nickname for people who grew up around rodeo
I don't know
arenas.
yeah, so I don't know what rodeo
Starting again.
arenas are, but one of my favorite clients ever, we used to do product rollouts in a rodeo arena, and it was so cool because you had it's a large construction equipment dealer, and for them to come in and we did fireworks inside the arena. We did the girls on the horses, whatever they're called, and with the flags, we did the company flags and did dinner and all that sort of stuff. So amazing venues. the Fort Worth in Texas, the Fort Worth livestock rodeo, whatever it's called. They do amazing events there. It's just one of my favorite event locations ever. And to Stockyards, that's it. I know. I grew up around this stuff. I really did. So Stockyards is an amazing venue, and I think there's a lot of communities that have something like that. And it's again, Scottsdale, Arizona, another rodeo place, that sort of thing.
Another unusual place we had an event was a hospital hallway.
Yes.
They had a brand new piece of equipment, and they wanted to basically christen the equipment, and so we literally set up pipe and drape and chairs and everything, little brunch table and everything in the back hallway.
Yep, moved out the waiting room furniture. Yeah, it was great. It was one of my favorite spaces. Again, I love stuff like that. And office space, we've done several grand openings. One of my favorite events that I'll talk about when I'm sitting in my nursing home rocking chair was we did a celebration for an insurance company that had made a lot of their numbers. They had really wanted to incentivize their employees, their staff, and they'd reached some numbers. And so I just was dreaming. I'm like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do to celebrate? And they're like, we could do lots of junk food. And it just kind of continued to spiral. And somehow by the time it was all done, we had a circus and carnival with marching band. The first thing that happened was we had all their calls redirected to another office, and we came up the elevator and this is a stairway, and had this marching band coming in playing, and we were having clowns throwing out candy, and some of the adults were scared of clowns, and it was all funny. And then we brought them all into this room across the hallway that we had turned into a carnival with snow cones and cotton candy and popcorn, all that sort of stuff. Just lots of
complete surprise.
Yeah, they had no clue. 3:00 in the afternoon, one Friday or something. Loved that. Cool. Again, one of my favorite events. So, So
what's your favorite venue to work in?
I think,
or top two.
I think without a doubt, it's the places that tell the stories the best and that provide the best customer service. And so that always tends to default to convention centers and hotels, because you get what you pay for. You have amazing staff. They know what they're doing. There's equipment there. It's all there.
Presents the client well.
And they have the same passions we have. I mean, they understand it. And I love working in museums. I love working in some of these other places, but one of the challenges you run into a lot of times is they don't understand what we need. Even
not their primary business.
We've had people
museums. Say the museum is their business,
right?
And that's fine. That's what they do, but they're not doing events day in and day out, and it's not what they're all about.
We've had
their primary focus is protecting the artifacts in the museum.
That's exactly right. And we've had people say things like, "Oh, we have all the power you would ever need," and then our AV provider says, "Do you have three-phase power?" And they're like, "No, we don't have that." Like, okay, well, you don't have all the power we need. Next time we bring in generators, and I think that's, again, in a venue where they have stuff day in and day out, that they know what they're doing. So I love that. Everything's typically under one roof. It's experience. Again, their experience. They know what to do. So definitely that wins time and time again. And I think the majority of events in our world are held in convention centers and hotels because of that. Yeah. Because of that very reason.
Yeah. That's good. So why wouldn't you choose certain venues? What about a venue would make you not choose it?
I think, without a doubt, reputation always plays into it. That doesn't mean that knocks out every event, but I think reputation of, if you've got a client that has high expectations and perfectionism qualities, which most of our clients do, and you put them with an event venue that doesn't have attention to detail, that's a train wreck. There are a lot of clients I can put into a venue that doesn't have attention to detail and will work fine, because the client, that's not an important thing. Or I think if their level of service doesn't match your needs, obviously capacity is part of that. I think, if they can't do everything they need to do. So one of the things we've done the last few years that I love is the convention center that was the group going there outgrew the convention center. And
they just had so many people coming all at once.
They didn't put a cap on it. They didn't say sold out. They just kept coming, and it was awesome. It was amazing. And so, we're 4 weeks out from the event trying to figure out how do we feed these people. There's actually never been a group this large, even in that community, much less that convention center, because the numbers were so high. And so we created this amazing outdoor space, which again, I will look back on and go, that's one of my favorite things I've ever done.
That's a lot of fun.
So we were able to do box lunches, get people outside. We did flowers,
set up furniture out on the plaza.
Yeah.
Had our landscape
took
friend
over,
come and redo all the planters. And
took over everything.
Yeah.
And it had some pop-up tents in some places, and it was hugely successful. And I think it told the story of what that client wanted to do very well. It was not inexpensive, but really accomplished a lot. And I think it was such a surprise to the guests to come out and have that. Yeah. The other story I love is we have an outdoor event that they play polo, and we have a tent and all that sort of thing. This year, the polo field was not available because of rains and floods. So we had to move everything indoor into an arena, and met a lot of challenges. But again, a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to create that and do that.
So that's one thing you got to think about when you're moving outside. When you have an event outside, you got to bring in restrooms. We had when it was out in the field, we brought in restrooms. We had set up tents for shelter. Of course, all the tables and chairs we hauled in, all the furniture,
electricity.
The couches, and we had to provide electricity,
water,
generators,
potable water,
potable water in trucks, and you had dumpsters we had to haul in, security, parking, valet. All of that was from scratch.
Chat pile. Where you had to get rid of water, make things even
to
level.
Fill in all the mud puddles and everything.
Yeah.
So just because like you were saying earlier, just because a venue is free doesn't make it free.
Yes, exactly. And so then this year when we moved inside, I thought that was pretty fun too. We actually took an arena that was out of business, and we were able to move in and
cleaned it up.
We had to get electricity running, figure out why it wasn't running, and clean it, and a lot of obstacles, but we were able to do that in a number of days. So very, very cool. Very, very fun. Well, I think we are getting close on time.
Yeah.
This has been great. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
I think you start talking about venues like, is this really a topic? Like, don't we do this? And it's like, wow, there's a lot to cover. And I hope that today we have opened up your thought processes, your creative juices are flowing. Whether you're a new event planner, if you plan events at your work or office, be creative with that and really think through that. We are here to help you and support you in that. We would love to brainstorm with you. I love to think through ideas, and I feel like I've been to a ton of venues in my lifetime, seen about everything. I was a kid. My dad did a pig roast for 300, 400 people out in our yard or in our field or whatever. And it's kind of grown from that. I just kind of feel like life is still continuing to figure out where cool places are to have stuff. So we'd love to visit about it. Email me at joe@rumbledrum.com or todd@rumbledrum.com. But what really means a lot to us is if you engage with us. We love if you subscribe to our podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you are on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Look at our website, interact with us, let us know what you're thinking, and give us feedback. We'd love to know where you're at, what you need, how we can best help, encourage you to put the fun into event planning and make it a long, prosperous and fun career for you. So we'd love to know how to do that. Again, thank you for tuning in today. Next week is going to be really fun because we got some extra surprises. So tune in next week and have a great week.
Thanks for joining us.